our followers unto us. So we have to pray and ask Allah's guidance, and then we read it, and we don't give our own interpretation of what we read, because only Allah knows its interpretation, and those who are firmly rooted in knowledge. So we don't follow any interpretation except the interpretation of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. What the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has broken down for us. Did I say something wrong, brothers and sisters? We don't try to give our own interpretation to divine revelation. That's a very dangerous activity to be involved in. We follow what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us of interpretation, so we don't fall a victim to a false interpretation from a traitor coming amongst us. And then when we gain some degree of mastery over what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan is giving to us, then Allah may reveal something to us, but we're not quick to believe that we're the recipient of divine revelation outside of what Minister Farrakhan is giving to us. Is everybody all right?
Yes, sir.
And so how do you and I master the guidance that's been given to us? The way we master it is by submitting to that, following that, and putting it in action, in motion in our lives to become masters of what we have been given. So we have to be very careful today, because the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said that the strong believers will be challenged by strong hypocrisy. He said the strong believer will be challenged by strong hypocrisy. And he said at this time, the minister, the student minister, and the student captain are very important in a time like this, because the din of hypocrisy, din, D-I-N, the sound, the murmuring of hypocrisy will overpower even strong believers. So you need a minister to inspire and a captain to get the soldiers ready, so that we can beat the enemy to the door. As the enemy is coming to the door, we want to beat him to the door, so that we can fill our people, go out and work among our people, so that when the enemy comes, the people will be so full and so inspired and lifted by our work among them that they would rise up against the enemy as they try to come against the man of God in our midst today and the righteous people of God. So the enemy would rise up and say, no, I know Farrakhan. I know the Muslims. They're not what you say they are. I know firsthand, my life has been touched personally by the Muslim followers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, so I don't believe what you're saying. And they would rise up just like they rose up in Harlem when the police raided the mosque and wound up getting shot with their own guns. That's what always seems to happen. We don't carry no weapons. They come in with guns and wind up getting shot with their own guns. But it was the people of Harlem that came and surrounded the mosque. And they said, bring Farrakhan out. We're not going to leave until you bring Farrakhan out. We want to see Farrakhan and make sure he's alive, because we know how y'all do. The police come and they always want to say it's justifiable homicide, or that he struggled, or that he tried to resist arrest and we had to tase him or shoot him. And so justifiable homicide is the order of the day today. So the people in Harlem, they want to see Farrakhan's face to make sure that you all don't try to murder him and say it was an accident somehow. So the police had to go in the mosque and say, Minister Farrakhan, would you please come outside and let the people see that you're all right? They're out there, the mob they seem to be restless. They won't disperse. Could you just come outside and let them see you? The minister, there's a famous picture in an old Muhammad speaks of Minister Farrakhan standing on top of a car in Harlem, had to stand on a car and let the people see him. So the people said, well, all right then. We're not going nowhere until the police leave, and we make sure y'all don't try to come and do something to Minister Farrakhan. But how was he able to have that much love from the people? It is because he went out among the people in Harlem every day. All praise be to him. When he got to New York City, New York was a hotbed of hostility against the Muslims because the enemy tried to frame the Muslims for the murder of Malcolm X. And so the people of Harlem loved Malcolm, and they believed mistakenly that the Muslims were behind his death, and so it was hostile for the Muslim followers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in Harlem, New York. The mosque was firebombed. Minister Farrakhan's home was firebombed. So you and I cannot say that we have really had any severe trial or rough trial, because our home was never firebombed with our children and our wife and babies inside the house. The mosque had not been firebombed in Buffalo, New York, but they firebombed the mosque in Harlem, New York. We got to really ask the question, really, how hard has the trial been for us so far? We have not really truly been tried, but the Holy Quran promises you and I. Do men think that they will be left alone on saying that they believe and will not be tried? Surely we tried those before you to find out who are the truthful from the liars. Allah already knows who's truthful and who's a liar, but there's a part of us that does not know about the truthful part and the lying part of us. So when we are faced with trial and difficulty, we are put in a valley of decision. And we will have to find out whether we are truthful or whether we are liars when we said our life, our prayer, and our sacrifice is all for Allah. And we will give our life before our words shall fail. Are we lying about that? We're going to find out in a few days. Some of us are finding out right now. Are we truthful or are we liars? Even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to be confronted with that question when he was on a train headed south to leave the mission because the hypocrites were trying to murder him. And the hypocrites had so much resolve, so much determination. They said that we will eat 1 grain of rice a day until Muhammad is dead. How much resolve do the believers have? How much determination do the believers have? If the enemy would fast and eat 1 grain of rice a day, what are we willing to sacrifice and do to make sure that we protect and raise the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? What does our resolve and our determination look like? So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was tested and cornered in Grand Central Station in New York City, where the hypocrite was not able to pull the gun on him. He had time to escape and got on a train and was headed south, but he heard the voice of Master Farad Muhammad in the turning of the wheels on the train tracks. Quoting from Surah 29, the spider, do men think that they will be left alone on saying they believe and will not be tried? Surely we tried those before you to find out who are the truthful from the liars. So Allah tries those, has tried those who came before us. He tried Brother Jerry when Brother Jerry got punched in the mouth for trying to sell a Muhammad Speaks in Buffalo, New York. He tried Brother Romeo when Brother Romeo had to fight a man up in Harambe's books on Utica and Main Street because he was trying to heckle Brother Dennis while he was giving a lecture of the life-giving teachings. He tried Brother Clarence and Brother Eugene and all of those pioneers that came before us, who are we to think that we will not be tried when greater men and women than us were tried before us? He tried the prophets of God with loss of property, loss of life, diminution of fruit. Why would we be so arrogant to believe that we would not suffer some loss when Muhammad suffered loss? Jesus suffered loss. Noah lost his own son. His own son would not get in the ark with him. But here we come, Johnny come ladies in 2014 and are upset with God. We're dissatisfied with God because we suffered a loss, a suffering loss. But we're suffering loss because surely man is in loss, except those who believe. Even what you lose, you should thank Allah for what you had and what you lost. If you have something of value, you know how valuable it is, because when you lose it, you feel the pain of that loss. If you lose something and feel no pain, it means you didn't place value in that thing. But if you lose it and you feel the pain of it, it means that you have been blessed with something of great value. And no matter how long you had it for or how short you had it for, all things that are good come from the source of good, who is Allah. Allah is the beneficent one. He's the source of good. He's the one who causes all good. So whatever we got that's good is from Allah. So in the Bible, in the book of Job, Job suffered loss, but he was grateful enough. He was wise enough to recognize that the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of thy Lord. So he didn't say the Lord give and the Lord taketh, cursed be the name of thy Lord. He said the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh, blessed be the name of thy Lord. If you're going to have something of value, you may lose that thing. But everybody, all of the prophets, suffered loss. Imagine Prophet Muhammad, a prophet of God, suffering the loss of his beloved wife, Khadijah. Imagine suffering the loss of his son, his stillborn son. Imagine a man, he can't have a son, he has daughters, but the son that he has, he loses that son. Does that mean that he's not a great man? Does it mean he's no longer a prophet of God? Does it mean that Allah does not love him because Allah took the life of his son? It does not mean that you are not loved by God because you're suffering loss. So even Muhammad was feeling depressed and down and felt like he might have been crazy or delusional, and he was crying out to Allah because he had not received any revelation for a long, protracted duration of time. He was looking to receive guidance and revelation. But in that long duration of not receiving divine revelation, out of the whirlwind of his emotions, out of the yearning and the longing to receive divine guidance, Allah revealed the brightness of the day. Surah 93, by the brightness of the day and the night when it is still. Your Lord is not forsaken you, nor is he displeased, and soon he will give you that you will be well pleased, and your latter state will be better than your former state. Did not he find you an orphan and gave you shelter? Did not he find you groping, so he showed you the way? You and I are like Muhammad, groping in the darkness, looking for guidance, looking for revelation to answer the problems that we're suffering from right now. Some of us are so much in yearning and longing that we're looking for another book of revelation that we can receive that book. But Allah tells Muhammad, your Lord has not forsaken you, nor is he displeased. It's not that Allah is displeased with you because you're going through a phase of pain and deprivation. It's not that Allah has forsaken you. If he had to remind Muhammad that he was not forsaken, and we are like little Muhammads, then you and I should know that we may have some doubt We may have some weakness, moments of weakness, but Allah always strengthens the believer, always raises and reinforces the believer, because the believer is sincere in our prayers, and when we call out, Allah will answer our prayer. He may not come when we want him, but he always comes on time. All praises be to Allah. Allah does not work based on our timetable of things. Allah is not on our schedule. We are on his schedule. We are either on his schedule or Satan's schedule. There's only two schedules in existence. It's either God's schedule or the devil's schedule. So if we're on God's schedule, he don't come when you and I want him, but he comes in the fullness of time. He's working with us right now. He's purifying us right now. He's bringing us through a stage after stage of purification. So that is why we call him Rabbil Alamin, the Lord of the worlds. But the Lord part, the attribute of Rab is the Lord, which always brings a thing, stage after stage, until they reach their eventual perfection. So we know we're very imperfect. Not only are we imperfect, but we got all kind of defects and wobbles in the nature of us. We got a wobble in our nature. We got a defect in our nature. So Satan says that he will come right up in our nature because he's from the weakness of our nature. So he knows that there is a certain degree of affinity. The weak man, the weak bone, weak-blooded man who comes from the weaker part of ourselves has affinity with the weakness of the brown germ of the original man. Talk to me, brothers and sisters. They got affinity with one another. Sister Ibra is here. She knows all about affinity. There's a kinship. There's a kindred spirit. There's a connection. There is an affinity where the Caucasian, who is the devil, a lot of dumb devils, but then you have the wise Satan, who is a devil maker, but they know how to get in touch with the weakness of ourselves. They know how to appeal to the appetites of the low desires. They know how to appeal to and intertwine like a serpent that cannot walk upright or stand upright. The serpent must always wrap themselves around that which is upright to appear to be upright to the people who want to follow God. So they're like, intertwining serpents that twist and turn themselves around the upright nature of the original man. And they appeal to the appetites and low desires and make interpretations that you're going to get more. Can I get more? I want more. Where's more at? You can get more. So that's the appetite. Always wanting more than what you got, more than what Allah blessed you with. We want more. More than what you're receiving in your own country. If you just come with me, come on, let's go. Go with me. Get on a ship called Jesus. How could you fool the original people who live on the Gold Coast, on the Ivory Coast? How can you tell them there's gold somewhere else when you live on the Gold Coast? How could you take these crooked teeth, hook-nosed, scurvy pirates' word over the word of God when you live on the Gold Coast where all the diamonds and the oil and the turquoise and copper and manganese and all the bananas and all of the mangoes are? They don't have none of that stuff in Europe. There's no giraffes or elephants or exotic flamingos and birds up in Europe. They don't have no oil up in Europe or diamonds. How could you convince a man that lives on the Gold Coast that he could find some gold somewhere else? Unless you appeal to his appetite and his low desire, his desire. All of us are creatures of desire. We were all shaped and fashioned in an act of desire between our mother and our father. Who else is there? There's no other way that anybody could get here. I don't know if there's any test tube babies in here. But we all came from the wombs of our mothers. Procreated from an act of desire. Is that right or wrong? In that moment, in the heat of the moment, there was a lot of desire going on in that room. It was desire that drew the two together in the first place. So following through on the emotion of desire, that connection like magnets, they attracted to one another, and that desire escalated into an act of procreation. Love making. Did I say something wrong?
No, sir. No, sir.
It's called love making because it's an act that creates life. And life and love are the same thing. So in that act of desire, we are all stamped with desire. We are creatures of desire. Because whatever is going on around the womb at the inception or creation of a thing, it marks that thing. It's just like a cake that's in the oven. If you stomp around the oven, then the cake will fall because of what's going on around the oven. So the womb, like an oven, all praise be to Allah. So we're creatures of desire. We want things. Not only do we want things, we need things. It's not just a frivolous want. You actually need things to survive. You need companionship. You need food, clothing, and shelter. You need resources. This is not a lightweight thing that you just want because you want it. You actually need this. But if you and I let Satan take our needs and manipulate our needs and make us a promise respecting what we need and what we want to mislead us and cause us to turn hypocrite on the man of God. And the minister said that if you follow that, you will not be alive when I get back. So we don't want to follow Paul Guthrie or follow all these different people who claim that they got some higher knowledge or higher wisdom. And we don't want to allow our disappointment over the things that we want and the things that we need, that we're frustrated about, that we don't have, cause us to now deviate from the straight path of Almighty God, Allah. Yes, sir. We're going through a process of purification. Because at the same time that Shaitan told Allah, I will make them deviate, Allah tells Satan, I will fill hell with all who follow you. Yes, sir. And you will get all except my purified ones. So that means if we're being purified ones, meaning that you and I are not purifying ourselves, but there's something acting on us to purify us. The trials and difficulties that we're going through is a purification for us. Yes, sir. And since we know we have a wobble in our nature, we got all kind of lumps and bumps and defects and warts and boils and whatnot, all of that is being purified. Talk to me, brothers and sisters. None of us should think that we have arrived and be self-righteous, assign righteousness to ourselves. We're not saved. We can't say that we're saved. We all know that we have to be purified. So if we're being purified, if we look at our difficulties and our struggle as a means of purification, it only means that we are one of those that whom Allah intends not for the devil to get us. Whom Allah, whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth much. But whom Allah intends not to guide, he leaves them blindly wandering on in their inordinacy. So they are blindly wandering in inordinate behavior. They don't have a self-accusing spirit to check them, to correct them, to rebuke them, and pull them back from the brink of disaster. But you and I, who are always getting rebuked, always getting checked, always feeling the fire of correction, we're the ones whom Allah intends to guide and to purify. So whom Allah intends not to guide, he leaves them blindly wandering on in their inordinacy.